What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the 7th episode of the Lob It Up Podcast with your hosts, Tobias, CP, Chris Panette, and of course, Siavash, the Cobra, Gorbani.
I knew you were going to do this every time.
No, we're not dropping it. You'll always be the Cobra.
That's
It's
crazy.
sticking. It's sticking. How are we doing, boys? Obviously, for the folks that are listening, for the folks that are watching, we did just recently get together. Shout out to Asia Express Sushi. We had to get our sushi fix. But since then, how's your week been, boys? How you been?
I'm chilling, man. Just been, trying to follow the trades and everything. Just what's been happening with everybody that's been being bought out. So it's been an interesting week for us.
Nice, man. Nice. I like that. Things have been good on my end. Just, chilling. Yeah, was super fucking pumped to fucking guys, man. I tell you, they're worst. They're the worst.
Quick feature.
Yeah,
from the
sorry,
cats.
guys. Just so you guys know, my cats being dickheads in the back. Absolutely.
Don't say that because it's going to look like pet abuse.
I know.
Peter's going to hit you up.
Peter's gonna come up.
But yeah, Steve actually mentioned it. Obviously, this past week was the trade deadline. A lot of moves. I think in total it was 29 different trades. Some big names, some small names. We just obviously saw that the free agent market is now kind of in full effect. We had the signing of Lamarcus Aldridge. We have the signing of Andre Drummond. And, of course, Jeff Teague just signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. That is probably the biggest signing. Do we agree or no? Jeff Teague going to the
We
Bucks?
can get to those.
I think that's good.
I think we should definitely touch up on a lot of other things first. Definitely what's been happening with the trade deadline. And I don't know, maybe let's get the trivia out the way first.
For sure. So, Chris, give us the trivia of the week. You said you have 3 questions coming our way. A little obscure, but I'm excited.
Just for our listeners, just so they know, typically it is Tobias that is doing the trivia, but, I found it way too easy. It's crushing Siavash every fucking time. So I was like, you know what? Let me host this. Let me put my little spin on this. Ask these guys some questions. See who's got that knowledge, that b-ball knowledge.
Okay.
That's all factual. There's
All
no lies in
factual.
that.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys. This is I feel like Tobias is going to know. But all right. Who won the very first ever NBA game? Was it A, the Chicago Stags, B, the Toronto Huskies, C, the Philadelphia Warriors, or D, the New York Knicks? Now, if you listen closely to the question, I said the answer.
This guy's
For the
trying to troll.
listeners, that's a reference to Tobias's questions from last few weeks.
Yeah.
He's trying to troll. Steve, I'll let you go first, man.
It's between two of those teams, but I think I'm gonna take a swing. I'm gonna go with the Raptors, the Huskies. I
The
guess.
Huskies, okay.
Give me the options again.
So
Stags, Huskies, Knicks, or...
the Warriors. The Philadelphia Warriors.
See, my thought was also with the Toronto Huskies. But to be different, I guess, from Siavash, I will go with the New York Knickerbockers.
That would be my other option.
The other option? Well, you should have went with your other option, because the correct answer was in fact D. The New York Knicks defeated the Toronto Huskies 68-66 in the very first NBA game ever,
Jeez.
November 1st, 1946. And a fun fact for you guys, any fan that was taller than Toronto center, George Nostrad, was granted free admission. I mean, he was like 6'8", so it's like...
Cool.
I mean...
I like that.
Yeah. All right.
I like that.
I got another one, but let me see. This one's a little obscure. It's a little weird.
Bring it, bro. Bring it. Let's hear it.
Okay. What kind of shot did Joe Folks score a record 63 points with in one game in 1949?
Kind
Is
of
it
shot?
A? Yeah. What kind of shot? Was it A, a three-point shot, B, a jump shot, C, a free throw, or D, a hook shot?
63 points?
63 points.
I'm going to stick with the D. 63 points on a hook shot.
On the hook. C.
What were the options again?
So you've got A, a three-point shot, B, a jump shot, C, a free throw, or D, a hook shot?
I don't want to go with the same answer, but I'm going to go with the free throw.
You're actually both wrong. It's
a jump shot.
The jump shot.
Yeah.
On February 10th,
my second
1949, Jumpin' Joe Folks introduced the jump shot, scoring a then NBA record of 63 points with the Indianapolis Keys.
Cool. Okay.
That's fucked. How do you play basketball without jumping to shoot? Like,
Right.
I'm just thinking, like, everyone's shooting basically free throws from, like, wherever. Well, yeah.
You said you have one more? Did you say you have 3?
I had one more. I got one more. Okay.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
How many games did Wilt Chamberlain foul out during his 14-year NBA career? You've got A, 30 times, B, 14 times, C, 0 times, or D, 94 times.
I'm going to go with C.
See, that's what I was thinking too. I'm going to say, read them again.
So you have A, he's fouled out 30 times, B, 14 times, C, 0 times, or D, 94 times.
14.
14? And our winner is C. C picking C.
Jeez.
So yeah, so Chamberlain.
See, and that's what I thought. I was definitely like, it's definitely 0 because that's such a random fact for people to bring up. Why would they care about 14 times?
Yeah, I didn't believe it either because I was like, I had to like look it up after. But apparently, Wilt Chamberlain never fouled out in a regular season or playoff game in his 14-year career in the NBA. And in fact, he actually only averaged 2 fouls per game, despite averaging 45.8 minutes per game. That's fucked.
There you go. There you go.
The refs were probably scared of him back then. They didn't want to call a foul.
It's true. It's true.
This boy just dropped 100. We're not taking this guy out of the game. Yeah.
Nope.
It's the only excitement in the NBA back then.
So I guess it's a draw. It's a draw for a trivia round. Dang, look at you guys.
I think I should get like half a point for my first answer because the Raptors did play the Knicks, and it's like, how would anybody know?
You were close. Yeah, you were close. I thought you were gonna switch last second to the Knicks. I honestly didn't think Tobias was gonna get the first one. I was like, you know what? He'll get it, but maybe he won't get it. He'll probably say something. I thought you were both.
It would definitely be one of the two. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was, and honestly, had he not said the Huskies, I would have said the Huskies. And had he not said 0, I would have said 0. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say this though: we were killing Tobias for some obscure questions, but if he didn't give some options to us, I would have been killing you, bro. But the option saved you. The multiple choice saves you.
Yeah. 100% it saves you.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just like I could just toss something up and maybe I'll hit it. There you go. All right. Look at that. First week trivia. We're tied 1-1.
So obviously there were a few large trades. I think of the most recent trade deadline, the most notable ones I would think of are Nikola Vucevic going to the Chicago Bulls and Aaron Gordon going to the Denver Nuggets. Is there a certain trade that happened this past trade deadline for you guys that maybe stuck out? Possibly the Oladipo deal with him going to the Miami Heat. And is there a team that maybe you think kind of won the deadline in total?
Oh, man. I don't even know. I think pieces got added to where they needed to go. I'm pissed that Brooklyn even picked up fucking another. I'm actually so mad that they signed Lamarcus. You don't need Lamarcus. You don't need all of that.
Same with Drummond going to the Lakers.
No. I'm okay with that. I'm honestly.
No, you can't say the same thing, bro. It's the same thing.
Bro, it's not the same thing. It's definitely not the same thing. How's it the same thing? Tell me how it's the same thing.
Drummond is a better player than Lamarcus Aldridge. Yes, the Nets have more of those marquee guys, but Blake Griffin is not as.
But I'm pretty sure
good
if it's
as
like
Drummond.
I think I was talking to my buddy the other day, and the Nets roster has a total of 43 or 42 All-Star appearances.
But that's irrelevant. If they're not that same level though. They're not the same level of athlete that they were.
Okay. All right. Okay.
You know what I mean, though?
I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm choosing to disagree with you. choosing
Okay,
to disagree.
that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
We are.
No, I mean I agree with Tobias, man. Like the actual stat is 41.
Yeah. Okay.
Total All-Star appearances with the 5 of them, but they're not the same. Aldridge and Griffin are not the same. Griffin was saying the other day, or I guess today he was saying it, that everybody's saying, "Wow, like how did they get all these All-Star players?" But when he was on the Pistons, they said, "Get this trash player out of here."
Mm-hmm.
So how do you just judge that player as a better player once he gets signed to a good team when he wasn't being valued as a good player on a team that's not doing so well?
I don't know, man. Well, that's like with anybody, though, right? Like, I don't know. You could probably pick like any All-Star that's gone to like a team that's like not doing well, and everybody's like, "Oh, this person's trash. This person's garbage." But that's just how people are. If their team is doing poorly, or the team is doing poorly in general, who's the first person you're going to blame? It's always going to be the All-Star.
But Blake Griffin is a player that used to be a polarizing guy, and he was a high flyer, and he could dunk, and he wasn't doing this. Yes, he just caught an alley-oop the other night, but like you can look at him, he does not have the same athleticism that he had when he was an all-star for the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yes, but his game has also evolved, and he is.
But he's not. But he wouldn't get an all-star though. He wouldn't get an all-star vote now. So he's not an all-star. So you can't say, well, he's an all-star. He's got an all-star.
Did Drummond get an all-star vote?
Probably, but he wasn't playing. He probably would have gotten because he was the best player on that team.
I don't know, man.
Like it's the same with Lamarcus Aldridge.
Yeah.
When Lamarcus Aldridge played for Portland, that guy was bad, bro. Like he was good as fuck.
Yeah.
But like he's not that player anymore. Carmelo Anthony, I love Melo, and like he's doing work. Like he is showing that he still provides value to the league. He shouldn't have been out of the league for a year and a half or whatever it was. But like he's not the Melo that he was in Denver. He's not the Melo he was in New York. So you can't add Melo to, the all-star nods and be like, well, yeah, they got an all-star. Did they though? Because he's not really an all-star anymore.
Okay. All right, I guess, yeah.
Like Drummond is, or sorry, not Drummond. Blake Griffin is I don't consider him a role player. Maybe like just a good player. Like he's a consistent player, but he's not a top 3 option on your team.
Who?
Blake Griffin.
Blake Griffin? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Blake Griffin is definitely one of the worst. If you were going to go through the starters in the leagues, he shouldn't be on top of your list.
No.
As we spoke about, I think last time, he's not as good of a shooter as he was in 2019 when he was an All-NBA player and he was an All-Star game. He might have some playmaking, but at the end of the day, you got to look at what he can offer right now. Even on the Nets, he might not be the starting power forward. You look at Jeff Green, why would you not start him?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I think Jeff Green has a better defensive mindset and he's a better 3-point shooter. So I would start Jeff Green over Blake Griffin.
That's what I'm saying. The numbers, everybody likes to talk about it. Like it was a few, I think it was during the Cavs, LeBron's Cavs last year, and everybody was talking about D Rose and I think Dwight wasn't there actually. It was
Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was there. Yeah, like
Dwayne Wade was there. Everybody was talking about all these stats from the past, and they're not.
Kyle Korver. Like, yeah, bro, these are all role players now. Like, Derrick Rose is not Derrick Rose that he was when he won an MVP. Like, yeah.
It's not
but
the same.
But with Drummond going to LA, I do think that Drummond still is providing value in the player that he is. Where Blake Griffin, I think he did a lot more when he was at his peak than Drummond does now. Because Drummond, in my opinion, is just a very one-dimensional kind of defensive big. He's great at rebounding. He can probably give you, anywhere from 15 to 20 a night because he's just bodying people in the paint. He can still do that. So that's sort of the same thing as him going to LA because, LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin combined together is a bit of the same as Drummond going to LA. I think those two combined as one player are definitely higher value than Drummond, but it's sort of the same thing. You still have a big 3 in LeBron, AD, and Drummond.
Okay.
Now, I would like to see Drummond go to the Celtics, with the recent injury to Mitchell Robinson. That would have been cool to see him go to the Knicks. But yeah, I've been saying since the start, I said last episode, I don't even want him to go to the Clippers. I'm like, don't go to the Clippers. Go to a team that, they don't need you like that. Like, even the Celtics, that's kind of like heavy, but the Celtics don't have a player like a KD, a James Harden, a LeBron, an AD. Like, I would like to see him just kind of be a bit more competitive. Go to Portland.
Well, speaking of Portland, they made a trade for Norman Powell from the Toronto Raptors.
They did.
How'd you guys feel about that? They gave up Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood, and I think a first-round pick might have been protected.
Was it first?
I'll let you speak on that, Chris, since it's your that's your squad.
I don't know. Like at first, like I was a little, like, kind of like why, you know? Because going forward, like you would think they would have tried to build around like that young core and stuff, and then obviously, you know, looking like stats wise, points wise, things like that, Norman was providing you more than, you know, Gary Trent Jr. and the other schmo. But like, I don't know. Like I've seen some people were very happy with it. Some people really love it. Talking to my buddy Christian, apparently Portland and Toronto fans have united on Twitter and are like one big happy family now, and are even making like a combined Portland Toronto logo because they're like, hey, you take care of Powell and we'll take care of him. They're like, yeah, and everyone's just like loving it. So I was like, you know what? It's whatever. If Raptors fans on Twitter are happy, then, you know, I guess the whole world's fucking happy.
Yeah, I mean, I love Gary Trent Jr. The guy's 22 years old. He's kind of similar player to Norman Powell. I think he has a higher ceiling than Norman Powell. At this point, Norman Powell is what he is. I don't really know how old he is, but I feel like he's 25, 26, 27 in that range.
I think it's like 27 and 28.
Yeah, so you're kind of, you know what you're getting
Yeah.
with Norman Powell, where I think there's, you know, more room to grow. Toronto, you know, is widely renowned for their development staff, so I think that bodes well for the progression of Gary Trent Jr. The one thing that I don't quite understand was the way that they, you know, set up the move was, well, Norman Powell's going to ask for money. He's doing well. They're trying to offload a contract. Well, Gary Trent Jr.'s contract is coming up in, I think, 2 years. He's going to be a restricted free agent, and he's said to Portland that he's looking for $20+ million. So you're going to be in the same boat. That's one thing I didn't understand, but I do like that you got younger, especially with a team that I think is kind of heading towards a rebuild.
Yeah.
I thought that his contract was actually coming up this year, but yeah, even then, if he's eligible for extension, I can see where the Blazers are going to just look at that contract and say, hey, we can give up the same amount of money to Powell, and he's giving us a better push for the playoffs. He might be a better defender. He also goes to the rim better. He can create his own shot easier. But I think I like the trade for both sides. And they traded Powell that night, or that afternoon. They traded Matt Thomas to the Jazz, which I think was a interesting trade since Matt Thomas is the widest name I can think of, and he went to the Jazz. and they gave up, I think, Terrence Davis. I forgot where he went to.
I think he went to Sacramento.
I'm not a Toronto fan. I'm not a Toronto Raptors fan, but I think Toronto's done a good job at showing that they do have a winning culture. They can produce players, so it's just whether, you know, players want to come and play in the cold. Believe it or not, that is a big factor for a lot of these athletes. But yeah, it's looking right now that they don't really have any big up-and-coming guys. I am not a Pascal fan at all. The Beyblade, I think you need to get rid of him. Personally, his value at this point is kind of depreciating. You should have gotten rid of him when you had the chance to make the trade for Paul George.
Okay. And Paul George did pretty well for LA. Helped him make a pretty.
You would have kept Kawhi, right? You would have kept Kawhi. You would have had Paul George and Kawhi.
Oh yeah, that's true. I guess.
So
well, let's talk about the Clippers. Again. They got.
That's what I'm saying. If you had made that trade and you got Paul George and Kawhi, I think you would have been back to back.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been stopped by a milk bag either. Raptors would have torn apart.
You were too horny. You were too horny to keep Pascal.
Hey, don't blame me, all right? My name's Chris Padette,
I'm
not
just,
Masai.
Yeah, exactly.
We may look the same, but we are not the same.
Jesus Christ. All right, talk about the Clippers, man. When we talked about this last week, you said for the Clippers, you want a playmaker, you want a leader. You brought up Kyle Lowry name, but we forgot a name. Even though
But
we
I'm
brought
happy. I'm happy with Rajon Rondo. I love that acquisition. I know that they're pursuing him in the offseason. He ended up signing with Atlanta, which I thought was kind of weird, to be honest with you, that he did sign Atlanta. But I like it. I like that we're here now. Shout out to Lou Williams. Do your vigil and stuff for Lou Williams. The guy gets to go to the Atlanta Hawks and have all the lemon pepper wings that he wants, so he never has to leave us in the bubble. But yeah, no, I like that acquisition. The only thing, that I would maybe look to get in the free agent market now is a big. I did mention in the text chain, Dang. I would like that, Goryeao Dang. But I think he ended up signing with the Suns, to be honest with you. I thought I saw a report about that, which you had brought up. Him and Booker have some beef, so that was kind of interesting. But there are still a few names out there that could potentially sign. But yeah, I definitely like the acquisition of Rajon Rondo.
I feel like you said it though, like mention it at some point, Rajon, like you'd like that. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Like just with Rajon, the thing that I like and the thing that I worry about is he is a leader. He's very vocal. I wonder how the other people on the team will take that.
Yeah.
If they'll fall in line, they'll understand that. But Kawhi has been very vocal about wanting that guy, so we presented for him. Rondo's not really the greatest scorer, but we have seen that in the playoffs, especially last year. He can show up. He was, besides AD and LeBron, he was the most impactful player on that LA Lakers team. Everyone thought it was going to be Kyle Kuzma, but it was definitely Rondo that kind of stepped up and was that guy. So I'm hoping he can do the same with the Clippers this season. But I'm a little worried because the West made some moves, most notably the Denver Nuggets, and they are looking even more scarier now.
Facts.
Oh, the Nuggets picked up Aaron Gordon. They gave up Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and I forgot. I think there was one more piece that they gave up, which I don't think anybody really thinks of when they look at the Nuggets. But I think that's not a bad trade, but they didn't really make much of a difference. They just basically got themselves back to a position they were in last year. When they went up against the Clippers, they basically were able to replace Aaron Gordon and Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, I like Aaron Gordon though, in that system, especially to pair with Nikola Jokic. Just kind of have somebody that's on the baseline there. He's not the best shooter from range, so that'll be interesting to see. But it makes them a bit more of an interesting team. Obviously, like you mentioned, they lost Jeremy Grant, so I think they felt that loss early on in the season. They weren't doing so well in the standings, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of progress throughout the rest of the season and into the playoffs.
Can we talk about Aaron Gordon and his obsession with the dunk contest?
Oh, why? What happened?
News reports came out he made his number 50 because of the dunk contest.
Oh my God, really?
This guy had a diss track out that's a 9 out of 10 about the dunk contest. This guy is just obsessed with his dunk contest from 2 years ago.
Bruh.
Bro, just let it go.
It's hard. How are you gonna just tell the man to let it go? The man was.
It's a dunk contest.
Okay, my nigga, but you go to a painting contest and the judge screws you over, you're not going to tell me you're going to talk about that painting for the rest of your life? You will. Every time you find a moment to bring it up, you're going to be like...
You don't want to be all-star? You don't want to be MVP? You don't want to be all-NBA?
It's like, I'm just saying.
Appreciate this stroke, yeah.
I'm just saying, man.
Pause.
Let the man grieve about it, because the man was robbed, so he feels hurt. So that's always going to bug him.
I do agree. I do agree. He was definitely robbed, yeah.
So if
he was robbed, and that's all good. But like, yo, you're gonna make your jersey number on a new team number 50 because of
that? Is
come on, man.
But what was his old number again? I don't even remember.
30 something. I don't even remember. Yeah.
So
but maybe that's his thing. That's his way of writing that way. But I think that's a very awful way of trying to stay in the news and everything. Just have your name on. It's like, dude, you're gonna become the guy that doesn't forget about his
it was 0-0. It was 0-0.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, 50 to a 0-0. Yeah. It's whatever. Do your thing, bro. Be jaded.
This guy, bro. Be jaded. About the dunk contest?
Yeah, dog. Bro, I'm telling you, if I was on a stage like that, and I was robbed of that, I'm gonna be mad salty for the rest of my fucking
Yeah,
life.
you're gonna be salty.
On my deathbed, I'm gonna talk about how salty I am. I'm gonna be like, you know what? I probably would have lived 10 years longer if not for that dunk contest back in '06.
You go into Aaron Gordon's house. He's got this private room that no one's allowed to go in. And it's just all photos of Dwayne Wade with his eyes poked out.
Yeah.
Because Dwayne Wade fucked him, bro.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade rode with the Miami Heat squad and gave Derrick Jones Jr. the. Oh, I'll never forget like that. The meme's still out there with Dwayne Wade and the glasses and the turtleneck. And it's just like. But yeah, man, he got screwed over.
Yeah.
Listen, man, Joel Embiid was pissed off about not making All-NBA first team. And now he's an MVP candidate. I don't know where you're going to go from being pissed off from not winning the dunk contest. My point is he can be worried about bigger things like making an All-Star game. Zach LaVine was pissed off this season about not making an All-Star game last season. And now he's an All-Star.
Yeah, use it as fuel, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thing is have bigger standards for yourself than winning the dunk contest. That's like MJ was pissed off about losing the MVP to Karl Malone, and you worried about the dunk contest?
And I took that personally.
That's what I'm saying. Take the right things personally, not the weird things.
But I mean, if you would have
I
won,
lost the skill challenge.
If he would have won, would he have won back to back or no?
No, that would have been his first win.
Would have been his first one. Yeah, because you know what? No.
This is the other thing I heard. I think I was listening to. I forgot what it was. A mismatch, and they were talking about. Somebody was asking one of the the writers from Orlando Magic, and they said, "Name us a moment from Aaron Gordon's career outside the dunk contest," and the guy couldn't think of another moment. Can you think of a moment about Aaron Gordon?
That he's been an impactful player? No.
Any moment, like a game winner, anything.
No.
There's not.
Not really.
It's just a dunk contest. That's his big.
That's always been his gimmick though. He's always been like he's another high flyer and he's able to dunk over people, and that's his
claim to fame.
Dunking.
But Chris, is there a time where you can be like, "Yo, do you remember that nuts dunk that Aaron Gordon pulled off in the middle of a game?"
My point.
Because you're right. See, it's just like it's that contest, and it's not even that the one where you got screwed over. It's the Zach LaVine Aaron Gordon one that I always think of. I think of him jumping over the mascot. You're right. That dunk contest gave him a bit more notoriety in the league, and he didn't win on either ones, and he's salty about it. But it's just like, okay, but maybe transition that into some better gameplay. Like go do something on the actual hardcore in the game instead of something flashy. During an All-Star weekend.
Yeah.
But we can move on from that. I think it's just gimmicky.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, let's talk about the Magic. They unloaded their truck. They gave up Vucevic, Gordon, and Fournier all at once.
Yeah, they're starting to blow it up.
Yeah.
Blowing that bitch
And I
up.
like the trade for the Bulls. They traded Wendell Carter Jr. and who was the other guy? Otto Porter.
So you like it now, because I know when I first was talking to you about it in the group when it happened, you weren't really a fan. I think you said it was an L on both sides. You kind of warmed up to it now, or?
The only thing I'm warmed up to now is Vucevic, and here's why. Wendell Carter Jr.'s potential, his ceiling, was going to be somebody like Al Horford or Vucevic, a big that can shoot and distribute the ball. And you know what? Otto Porter was great, but I think he was in the way of Pat Williams and his growth. So get him out of the way. He's going to probably be in the buyout market soon. And we picked up Aminu. I'm not the biggest fan of Aminu.
Yeah.
He's a good defender, but he's not a three-point shooter. I think in the last 3 seasons, I think I checked this a few days ago, he's shot less than 30% from 3 on 2 attempts a night. So I don't think he's a good player for today's league. I think he's going to be a good defender, but I really like Vucevic. And what's you guys' thoughts on this?
No, I like it. I mean, sticking with the Chicago Bulls, maybe a bit off of Vucevic, you were able to keep your guy, Lauri Markkanen. I know the rumor out there was Lonzo Ball for Lauri Markkanen, and the New Orleans Pelicans actually turned that down. It wasn't enough. So it's good that you're able to keep that. The one thing I do like about Vucevic coming in there and playing the center position is you actually have a legit center. Wendell Carter Jr., people say he's like 6'10". He's 6'8". He's not actually 6'10". They kind of hype him up to be taller than he is. So it's nice you got two guys in the paint now. Lauri Markkanen at like 7'1" and Vucevic at 7 foot as well, and they can both shoot as well. So
Yeah, and you bring up the Lonzo trade. I heard about that, and they really wanted another first round pick from the Bulls. And you know what? I didn't want that trade to happen until I saw the Spurs game on, I think it was Sunday, or Saturday night. And man, the Spurs figured out our offense. And I think this coming playoffs is going to be interesting for us to be able to grow out of that. Maybe Bill Donovan can adjust. But their best way to shut us down was to collapse the defense on anybody that was driving. And you were texting me, they were down by 30 at some point. Apparently they cut it down to single digits, but I think they got to look into a playmaker because nobody could be able to make a pass to an outside shooter at that point when the defense just collapsed on them.
yeah, and Kobe White obviously can eventually be that guy, I think, but right now he's just not mentally mature enough. He just gives up turnovers easily. But yeah, I think they're progressing in a place where they have Zach LaVine now. They have Vucevic. They've got Lauri. You're a big fan of Pat Williams. They need a guy now. They're not really in a time to be waiting for Kobe White. They could still keep him in the organization and have him sort of as the backup, but for right now they need one of those starting point guards for sure.
Yeah, and I think Vucevic is coming up on 33 years old, so we got to kind of catch up with his prime while everybody else is growing into that.
And then, of course, another big trade, and I think, it wasn't the biggest piece that was traded, but I think this team stole this player. This was one of the biggest trades for actually, not giving up anything and getting back something great. Victor Oladipo to the Miami Heat. Dude, they gave up, I think, Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley, and maybe a second for Victor Oladipo, who wanted to go there. So he's gonna sign there. That's insane, and he's on a great team-friendly contract as well.
I mean, that was probably the steal of the day for the trade deadline. And I thought about this, man. I think Pat Riley hypnotizes people with the championship rings. He just gets on a Zoom call. He's just look into the championship ring, and the guy goes, "Okay, what do you want? Your best player? I'll give up something for you." You know what, man? The Rockets got to shut it down. That front office is garbage. Apparently, somebody wrote about this. For James Harden, the return they got. This is what they got for James Harden. After everything, after getting Victor Oladipo and trading him again, they got Dante Exum, this Russian guy Kurokas from Nets.
Oh, yeah.
I liked him back in the day, but I don't think he's been good these past few years. Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, four first-round picks, and 4 swaps, which means if a team, they have the right to swap their picks if the team has a better pick than them. That is the worst trade that they could have made. For James Harden, top 10 player in the league, and we're going to talk about it. Somebody that said he is the MVP right now.
Yeah.
If you're the Rockets, would you have rather not had Ben Simmons?
Oh, yeah, 100%. You know what you're going to get because those 4 first-round picks, they're not lottery picks. At this point, those teams are not lottery picks. They're going to be good teams, so they're going to be top 20 picks. So you're not really getting that much unless you're packaging them up to get a lower pick. But yeah, I would have taken Ben Simmons, the devil I know versus the devil I don't. I would have definitely taken Ben Simmons on my team over that.
I think, man, that front office, I don't know what they're thinking.
But I think, what I think it was, and it comes down to politics a lot of the time in these sports leagues.
Yeah.
I think it was Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey had just left. He goes to Philadelphia 76ers. They're salty. The organization is mad. Well, we're not going to trade him there. I don't care. The Pacers can come offer us a bag of rocks, and I'll give them to the Pacers. At that point, it's just man, you're screwing your organization up.
Even outside of that, you look at the trade. Wouldn't they rather have Jarrett Allen and Karis LeVert? Those are 2 guys that are young. Jarrett Allen is a top 20 center in the league. I wouldn't even put him at top 15. The guy is young. The guy is about to be on a cheap contract. Karis LeVert, he's proven himself. We've seen him in the playoffs go get buckets.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Rockets might as well just shut it down.
Well, and speaking of the Rockets, I forget what my parlay was, but I had them in, and I took. They were playing Minnesota the other night, and those teams, both of them, are god awful. But the Houston Rockets are even worse, and it kind of solidified it after this game. But Minnesota was down. I think I bet on. I bet on Denver to beat New Orleans, and Denver was down by a couple, and Minnesota to beat Houston, and Minnesota was down. Minnesota ends up getting down by 22 points, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, that sucks. I just lost that bet. So I turned the game off. Look at my phone, get a notification. Minnesota completes 22-0 comeback. They scored 22 points. In the last 7 minutes, the Houston Rockets didn't score at all. In 7 minutes, they didn't score at all, and Minnesota won the game. That's terrible, dude. That's god-awful.
That's crazy.
That's bad.
How do you go, even in 7 minutes, if you were to throw a jersey on me and be like, hey, you have 7 minutes to score, I'd be like, bro, I could just huck up a shot and something is going to go in eventually.
You're getting to the foul line at something.
Something is going to happen. So how could they not make a single fucking thing happen in that 7 minutes? What are they doing?
You know what I just thought about? I bet you cannot name 4 players or 5 players from the Houston Rockets outside of the trade that just happened.
Okay.
Because it's
John Wall.
man, I just try to think, you know what, sorry to cut you off, but I just try to think of okay, who would have got him a bucket, and I can only think of 2 or 3 names.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck. So John Wall, Christian Wood, PJ Tucker's gone.
I got one more, Daniel House, the guy that got kicked out of the bubble for cheating on his wife with someone else.
Dude,
he's in there.
Oh, never mind.
Who?
What? I just heard cheating. So it makes me always think of Paul George.
No. Okay,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's it.
No, Daniel House. He got kicked out of the bubble for cheating on his wife.
Shit.
He broke the bubble rules, and he was sleeping with one of the nurses.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's I can't think of anybody like that. That team is that bad. That's brutal. Wow.
Yeah, I just thought about that. Well, do you guys want to talk about James Harden? He's been making a lot of noise. They asked him who he thinks if he has been playing like an MVP, and he said he's the MVP today.
I know CP has to go, so do we want to maybe save that topic for another time?
This guy's ready to talk about it. If you guys want to talk about it, you guys can talk about it. So minus the CP. But yeah, I don't really care. Yeah, if you guys...
I don't care. We can talk about whatever. If you got to go, do you have to go right now?
Yeah, I probably got to get going now because it's going to give me a couple minutes.
I thought we could get you a few minutes with this topic. Yeah.
No,
Right. If you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah. But
Okay, so let's close it with the picks then.
okay.
Can you stay for the picks? That's 5 minutes.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so obviously last week's picks. Again, I missed one, so in total, Tobe's picks is sitting at 10 for 12. I hit on the Knicks beating the Wizards. The Hawks lost to the Kings by 2 points. I think it ended up being a buzzer beater too. Harrison Barnes, I'm pretty sure, actually nailed it. And the Clippers ended up beating the 76ers. So big dub for my squad there. This week we're looking at April 1st, Thursday, April Fool's Day. I got the Hawks beating the Spurs. The Spurs are on a back-to-back, so I think they're going to lose the second half of that. Saturday the 3rd, we got the Pacers versus the Spurs. I'm taking the Spurs this time. Pacers are coming off a back-to-back. And then Sunday, we're going back to my squad. The Clippers are playing the injured Lake Show, so I'm taking the Clippers. While I'm talking about the Clippers here, they've got a tough schedule coming up. For the next couple games, they just had Philly, they have Denver, the Lakers, Portland, and then they finish it off with the Suns. So it'll definitely be a tough run for them. If they can get a couple of these wins, that's really gonna hype them up for moving into the playoffs.
Nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So any thoughts on those picks? You guys think any of are blasphemy?
No, I think I trust in Tobe's picks. Tobe
Thanks,
6 I
man.
trust because you're like you said, you're shooting 10 for 12. You can't argue against stats and facts. I know.
This
So.
guy.
I mean,
I don't know. I would say he's got lucky with a lot of those, man. The Pacers winning against the
there we
Heat.
go.
I don't know about that.
He just doesn't like
Against the
T.J.
Philly.
Warren. He doesn't like T.J. Warren.
Don't make it. It's not a personal thing. It's just a team thing. The Pacers are below the Heat, so
T.J.
just looking
Warren
at
must
that
be
team.
French, low key. Like, yeah, but
Okay, so this was the 7th episode of the Lob It Up Podcast, obviously with your hosts, myself, Tobias, Chris, and Sivash the Cobra Gorbani. Make sure you tune in every week for another episode of the Lob It Up Podcast, where we give you our hot takes and debates all about basketball. Keep it real. Peace.